welcome to our very first episode ever of From the Tips, a golf show, a new golf show. It's all about golf, gambling, and grog. And for those that aren't aware, grog is a little drink, a little juice here. I am your host, David Stidham, and before we even say that, this is a part of the Hammercast Network, and proud to be a part of that network. And I am your host, David Stidham, also known as Hammerjacks. And my co-host for this show is none other than Drew Ward, who is a former PGA teaching pro, and he goes by Detroit Dave 7 on Twitter. How you doing, Drew, man? Welcome
I'm
to the
great.
show. Welcome to the first episode.
I'm very excited. Very excited to be here. We had some good golf today. We got lots to talk about. We're going to do a little BS and have some good time.
Yep. Well, I thought I was a huge golf fan, and but hanging out with you for the last couple of weeks has been a lot of fun, and this is the time of the year, man. This is it. We're ramping up to Masters. This tournament here today is huge, and I've got some really disappointing stuff happening with some of my plays.
It's early, but
what the hell?
You can't get them all right. You know, they always say in golf you can't win on Thursday, but you can sure as hell lose. Unfortunately, I think your horse might be on the back end of that. He might be shooting himself out of this early.
Well, before we jump into the Thursday play, and obviously the play is still going on, our goal is to update, talk about the round one, talk about what we expect in round two, and throughout the rest of the weekend. What you sipping on tonight?
I have me a nice cold Bud Light beer here, and how about yourself?
I'm sipping on a little Grey Goose.
Classy, man.
Straight up. I don't need any of that other stuff. And so, little Grey Goose, and I might have a little surprise with a golf shot take here later in the show. We're going to have to obviously do a shot take to pick our winner for the rest of the week and talk about what picks and bets we're going to play the rest of this weekend. I'm live in a lot of things still, but, Bryson is hurting me. Bryson was my horse this week. I love Bryson, man. What happened? What's going on with that guy?
I mean, he's been erratic with the driver today. He hits it a ton, but in Riviera, you can get yourself on the wrong side of the hole where you literally leave yourself no chance. I mean, you saw some of the coverage today. We talked about 10 earlier. 10's a 300-yard hole where it makes guys just look silly. But I think I expect DeChambeau to have a nice round tomorrow, but I just think at this point he's gotten himself. I mean, last time I checked, he was 6 over. It's just tough to battle for the weekend, and he has to start pressing at this point. And the one weakness in his game that we've seen for a while is his wedge game. All his clubs being the same length. When it comes down to the wedges, the consistency hasn't been there. And so he's tried to make it a pitch and putt, which he tries to do everywhere. But this course, although the rough is not as penal in some places, it's patchy. But you can get into on the wrong side of the hole where there's certain flags that you can't get at, and you already just got to accept bogey based off where you hit it.
Yeah, and obviously you've played a lot of golf, you've taught a lot of golf, you're a PGA guy. What happened? I mean, you see some of these guys when they get off to a rough start. Is it that hard to get out of your head? Some guys can do it, some guys can't. It seems like he wasn't able to get off that. I mean, he birdied number one. Everybody should be birding number one, and then he just goes on and just talk about the head game here.
Yeah, I mean, and you would think out of the gates he made a good 7-8 footer on one to make birdie, and like you and I had discussed, making birdie on one's like making par, right? And so he makes that birdie. But again, once you get going the wrong way, and especially a guy like Bryson that has so many damn things going on in his head at a time, it's so easy to just keep sliding down. And sometimes it only takes one shot, but he's gotten it going the wrong way too much today where it's tough. Because again, then he has to start pressing. And to the guest point, the tuck pins at Riv, there's pins that you can't be aggressive on, and he's kind of at the point where he's got to kind of fire at everything, and so he's got himself so far behind that you just see these bogeys compile because he knows he has to get himself back into this thing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I just, from my experience playing golf, I just know that, everybody keeps telling me, hey, man, you get a bad shot, you got to just put it behind you, address the ball and hit a clean second shot. And it's really hard. It's hard to do because that frustration sets in.
Yep.
And you've played the game for a long time. You've taught people, and you know what I'm talking about. It seems like these guys at that level, maybe sometimes I think the guy might be a little too cerebral.
Oh yeah.
You think is that because he analyzes every little. You know how he does. He analyzes every little thing, and I think it's in his head.
Well, it's first of all, I'm not saying that he believes in it, right? I think it's all somewhat ridiculous. I mean, the guy had a compass on the course at one point until they had to step in. Um, but the thing is with Bryson, and I think with a few guys, I even see this a little bit with John Rahm, where they run like John Rahm runs hot into the collar, and to your point, when you get going the wrong way, guys like that, they're harder to just step up and hit the next shot. A guy like Dustin Johnson, you wouldn't even know. I mean, if he's shooting 62 or 82 out there, he has the same demeanor all the time. But yeah, absolutely with Bryson, when things start going wrong, guys like Dustin and Brooks, they just step up and hit the ball and go find ball and hit it again. Where Bryson's taking in wind direction, firmness of the greens, and
Right.
he almost makes it overly difficult for a game that's already difficult enough. And once you get going the bad way, all that stuff in your head, they're nasty, nasty demons.
Yeah, and I think it all started honestly with that little chip putt that he tried to do on 3,
Which
where
nobody
he tried
knows
to
what
go
he
up the
was
hill
doing.
and bring it back down. That was terrible.
There was no reason for it. There was no reason to play it up that high. He hit it through the break. It never broke back. He makes bogey. And again, a hole that he's hitting a wedge. He had 105 into the green, and you walk away with 5. I mean, you can't make mistakes like that around Riviera. You have to know what to do. You play the ball past the pin there. You take your par and you move on.
Well, hey, let's talk about somebody who is playing well. Let's talk about the. You want to go right to the leaderboard?
Yeah, let's pull it up.
Hold on one second. All right.
Burns got
This
another
is,
one.
What's that?
Burns made another one on 18.
Burns is 7 under, finished 7 under at Riviera on day 1. That is spectacular. And man, what happened? I mean, what the hell, man?
So to me, I look at this leaderboard, and this looks like a Thursday leaderboard to me, right? The thing is I'm not saying Sam Burns doesn't have the game to go get it done, or Matt Fitzpatrick, but a lot of these guys are what you see on a Thursday leaderboard. Now you see guys like Cantley, you see guys like DJ. Those guys are just going to linger around heading into the weekend. Those are the guys. Yeah, and Burns has been playing great. I think he had a down week 2 weeks ago, but course is a factor. He's a fantastic ball striker. But the leaderboard doesn't surprise me to an extent where I'm surprised that a guy in Burns and Fitzpatrick are up there, because those are solid Thursday, Friday players. However, the fact that 5 under, second best, this whole field is in this tournament outside of kind of Bryson, and it also looks like another guy that I wanted to touch on while I'm looking at Justin Thomas, right? Currently in a tie for 118th with Bryson at 6 over.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, you know what's interesting is we actually had our model. And we talked a little bit about this. Our model actually had Sam Burns top 20 at $7,400. We have him 18th ranked for this week. He might surpass that for sure based on his play today. But he was our highest ranked odds pro as well at 125 to 1. And so I'm not saying he was one of our outrights, but he's definitely in a lot of my lineups because he was a top 20 guy in a low 7 range. And so that's some good news for us. I know I kind of made fun of Molinari a little bit. You love Molinari, don't you?
I have him in one of my plays. Listen, I just think he's had the last 2 events, 2 top 10s. I think he's rounding back into form. the guy is just a ball striker. The guy puts the ball in the fairway. He's not overly long. He did kind of lose his game slightly there, but it appears he's got it going. And he, again, a guy that knows how to kind of negotiate Riv and get it around there. So I expect him. I mean, I don't expect him to contend to win, but I could see a top 25 out of him.
4 birdies and 1 bogey on the cards. Not bad, huh?
No, not bad
And of
at
course,
all.
that bogey came on 10. Talk about 10. I know you.
I love
10's a sick
10.
hole, isn't it?
Oh, it's so good. I was telling you earlier, Colin Morikawa, one of the best players in all golf, gets up on 1, hits it literally 40 feet from the flag. He's in the right-hand bunker. He's hitting his 4th shot. He's still not on the green. It's diabolical. What you see on TV doesn't even do it justice with the undulation on that green. It's just such a good par 4 because even if you lay up, the margin for error is so thin that you just see guys look so goofy on that hole, and they make you, as the viewer at home, kind of relate. And I think as the average golfer, the reason we love the U.S. Open and things like that is we kind of like to watch these guys suffer from time to time. And
I agree.
And 10 will make you do that. It is just from what's a 300-yard hole, you would think for a pros they would tear it up. And I watched group after group today go through that hole and just walk away with bogey or even other.
Yeah, it's very daunting and intimidating, and just think about the regular Joes who go and try to play that hole. Of course, they're not playing from the tips. Pardon the pun there, but even 30 yards in from where they're playing is still daunting, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's you look at the card and it's a 300-yard hole, but there's no layup. I mean, you can lay the ball back, but the green is so narrow. If you're coming from any angle, the way it crowns off, you have to be perfect. And also, the greens are firm and fast, which I love to see. You have not seen many balls, stopping quickly. It's a lot of trampoline effect. It's been fun to see because we really haven't seen on tour yet this year a course play fast and firm. We've seen a lot of wet golf courses. This golf course, when it's fast and firm, and if they don't syringe the greens frequently throughout the week, come Sunday, this thing is going to be a beast.
They're going to do it. They're going to do it. Here's some other notables that we talked about as part of our model. Our highest value play was Jim Furyk at 6,400, and he looks pretty good right now. Shot a 69 today, 2 under. I've got him in a lot of lineups as a value play. What's sad is he's got, of course, Brooks still got a few holes to go. Siwoo Kim, another one of our guys that we had top 12, he's sitting there at 2 under. He's still got, 6 holes to go. Some of these guys, it's an interesting leaderboard for sure. The surprise is look at John Rahm. He's sitting there at 1 under, and he got, that. What about that putt? Did that remind you of an Augusta putt?
It did, and it had no business going in.
I know,
because he had 13 to 14 feet coming back the other way because that thing was cooking. But I think Rahm's happy to be in at 1. Again, like I said, the big dogs understand that this is a chip away thing and be there around Sunday. So I think Rahm's happy. I mean, again, blows me away. One Charles Howell, who has been one of the most consistent golfers for multiple years, finds himself in DFL, which is the last spot here in the tournament at 7 over. But then again, you have Justin Thomas and Bryson DeChambeau sitting at 6 over.
Yeah, let me go to the bottom here.
Yeah.
So you got Howell at 7 over. You got Thomas with what 4 holes to go, 6 over. DeChambeau at 6 over. That's sad. That's sad when guys like Jimmy Walker and Harrington. Now, obviously, you expect those guys to. Their days are behind them, but to have 2 guys like Justin and Bryson both sitting there at 6 over, it's inexcusable.
Yeah. Well, and I remember when we did this thing, Justin was one of my fades, and the reason I was fading him, we talked about a little bit about, his controversy and getting Polo dropping him. And I don't think to this point he signed with somebody else. He missed the cut last year. His grandfather just passed away. I think there's a lot going on with Justin Thomas right now. I'm going to give him somewhat of a pass this week. But again,
Yeah.
Bryson hasn't been playing. I mean, Bryson hasn't been playing a lot of tournaments. There's no excuse for Bryson to come up here and not show up here and be dang near DFL.
Right.
It's just, and he's got to be super disappointed. Again, you have to be able to put the ball in play to an extent. This is the same thing Phil Mickelson has an issue with. Phil Mickelson's always been a terrible driver of the golf ball, but now he's missing it off the damn planet. Like this isn't even on the golf course, some of the places these guys are playing from, and it's just too hard, and especially a golf course of this caliber. Any of your misses will be exaggerated at Riv.
Yep. I concur with that. Let's go ahead and since we got our buddy All Falcon Day on with us right now. By the way, good fade on Higgs, Drew. Typically
I love
we don't
Higgs.
fade 6K players, but you know what? You threw it out there, so
Sorry, man. It was my first week. I faded him. I feel bad. I love the guy. But
let's go ahead and talk about Rory's game. He's playing a lot better than Bryson right now. That's for damn sure. But he's still not playing like Rory McIlroy plays. He's 2 over. And so, what are your thoughts on what you're seeing from him?
Yeah, we touched on a little bit Tuesday. Again, who's the best driver in the game? Rory McIlroy is, and you can argue, Dustin, but Rory McIlroy statistically, pound for pound, he's just the best in the game.
I think he is too.
And right now, he's got a miss going 2 ways, and these guys can get away with a one-way miss. If you know your miss is right, you can play with that and you get away with it. Rory's missing it both ways right now. And again, his wedge game is mediocre, just the way it is. I'm sorry to be blunt about it, but from 125 to 80 yards, his game is just not there.
Right.
But I mean, those are the things I see with Rory. He's not giving himself enough opportunities inside 15 to 20 feet, which he's an average putter as well. I mean, his number one weapon is the driver, and it's kind of not been that weapon, at least since the restart from COVID.
Right. And what I was talking about during our show, and by the way, All Falcon Day, setting himself for the backdoor top 10.
That's what Rory does.
You know what? I can see
does.
that. I can see that for sure. He's that good. But remember the stats I threw out. I threw out that as of right now, in the last 40 rounds, he's 37th in scrambling in this field. And he was 92nd in putting, and that's exactly what I was seeing on that front 9. And so I think he could pull it together, and I think he can backdoor this thing and in a top 10. But he's going to have to probably finish out today with at least another birdie or 2.
Yeah,
I hope he's able to do that.
I think if Rory looked back on his his year so far, rather, he would be disappointed because let's be honest, he was top 5 every week before things kind of shut down. I mean, that's the consistency Rory McIlroy had. Not there right this second. But again, even on an off week, Rory can backdoor top 10 because he has no problem going and shooting 65 at least one of these days. And that's going to boost him up the leaderboard. He does it all the time. I'm sure his wife loves the paychecks from these backdoor top 10s. Let's just keep it going.
Right. And yep, and he's the one of the guy that can just go on a birdie tear anytime and pop a few eagles in there. I think my Bubba Watson and Bryson Eagle bets for the day didn't quite pan out. Hey, let's go to another guy we talked about, and he kind of got a bad rap this morning on his game, but Colin Morikawa, obviously when you saw what happened. His first hole when he had that double on 10, and then that back 9 was crazy, wasn't it? But he was able to scrap out and a +2 from what could have been a disastrous round. What did you see from Colin today, and what do you think about his game going into tomorrow?
I fully expect Colin to make the cut. I think just a good round tomorrow. He's probably the best iron player in golf. He didn't have it today. And listen, this is kind of a home game for him. And there's that little added pressure, with that being said. But he was a little shaky today. He got out to a bad start, which again, we talked about it. Morikawa is one of those guys to me that can step back and relax and kind of keep this round together. What this round was him busting his rear end and not shoot 76. And he knows that. And again, he knows if he can make it to the weekend with the lead at 7, yes, but second being 5, it's right there with a good round of 66. But he wasn't sharp today. He wasn't sharp with the driver, which led him to not being able to get to hole locations because he was in the rough and he wasn't able to spin the ball.
Right. I did see some of that epic iron play after a couple of those bogeys, and I was impressed with that because I think he's as smooth with his irons as anybody out there, including our boy Will Zalatoris, who had a pretty decent round. At one point, I think he was 4 under, and he got it. He dropped a couple of shots, but I think he's 2 under now.
Yeah, so he's in it too. It looks like 4 bogeys or 4 birdies, 2 bogeys. That front 9 will get you if you're not careful. I think the back 9, you can get a score going. He had 2 birdies, no bogeys on the back. To him, it's all about how well he rolls the rock. He is somebody that I somewhat expect to fade slightly as we go throughout this golf tournament. But yeah, a nice opening round.
Yep. I know you have a love affair with Jordan Spieth, and I do too. What do you think of what he's doing today? Coming off back-to-back, weeks where he was the clubhouse leader going into Sunday, you'd think that might draw on him mentally, but he's a mentally tough kid, isn't he? And he's just out there grinding. He's 1 under today. What do you think about his game today?
I'm fine with it. You look at his fairways hit. He's actually hit the ball pretty well today. Listen, he's working through a lot, and I'm not overly concerned with him not getting it done the last 2 weeks. It's the consistency I've seen the last 2 weeks. I mean, his driver got to a point for maybe the last year where it's just you don't know where the hell it's going to go, and he didn't know where it was going to go. And you want to talk about a mentally strong guy, yes, because he's kept his confidence, but man, has it beat him up. So, again, there's nobody that I think's a better guy on the tour, and I can get up behind Spieth all the time. But, again, 1 under. I love that position. If he can get one more coming home, 17 is a birdie hole, so we'll see. But, again, it's hard. And I pick Spieth. I have a 10, 12 guys. We do a DraftKings every week. Spieth will be in my lineup, and he has been through the dark times. I will ride and pay my $5 to charity to play Spieth until he does something. But I do feel he's kind of starting to come out of it. He's starting to gain some confidence. His misses aren't as wild. And, again, the guy is still makes more 30-foot putts than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's almost sick how he can do that.
It's incredible.
And so, anyway, looking back at the leaderboard, Burns, number 1, 7 under, an amazing 64. I didn't think anybody was going to be able to pull a 64 out today. Fitzpatrick, our model also likes Fitzpatrick. Alex Noren, 5 under, and he's still got a hole to go. And so he's playing very well. And then you have the wrong Kim for me. You have Tai-Hoon Kim at 5 under, which is a little bit of a surprise for me. And he's still got quite a few holes to go. Wyndham Clark.
I can promise you he will not be here come Sunday afternoon.
Oh, I agree with you. But I'll tell you who could be. In two of my plays that I'm pretty proud of, I picked Patrick Cantley as my 9K guy. And Joaquin Neiman is my 8K guy, and they're both sitting there tied for 5th with 67s respectively. And one of the other guys I talked about, Scotty Scheffler, who I really love. He's actually
birdie machine,
one of my favorite guys. He's right there too. So the way it's setting up, what are you thinking about tomorrow and then going into the rest of the weekend? What are your thoughts on the ones to watch? Obviously, we know the chalk. We know that tomorrow's a totally different day. All these guys playing this afternoon are going to have easier conditions in the morning.
Yep.
What are you thinking going in tomorrow and then the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, if I'm looking at this right now, I think the guy that stands out to me is Patrick Cantley. And that's very true. Fitzpatrick's turned himself into a really nice player.
He really
has. Yeah, and he's decided to take the the route, a lot of these Europeans do, that he just decided to come to America full time and let's roll. He's done well for himself. But Patrick Cantley is the guy in the leaderboard that stands out to me at this point. He's, of course, been in great form. He's ready to win. But yeah, I mean, you look at it from the guys and the top of the board, even more than a Dustin Johnson to me. I do like Patrick Cantley, but you did touch on Joaquin Niemann, and he has been playing phenomenal golf. I know Sergio's kind of took him under his wing, which I don't know about that because Sergio's a head case himself. But this kid's got a lot of game. He's got a really steep golf swing. He kind of hits a low laser. Traps the ball, hits a nice little spinner. I love watching the kid play. So he doesn't surprise me. This kid's young too. He's going to continue to get better and better.
He birdied 10.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a mind game. Neiman is a problem. I really do believe that. And again, Sergio, I'm not huge on Sergio because he's a meltdown case himself.
But Sergio's actually played a pretty good round today, if I can recall.
He did.
And so Ricky Fowler dropped one. He was at 3 under. Siwoo's at 2 under.
That's a question that I have.
All right, so knowing what we know now, what do you think? What's going to happen? Who's winning this thing? We could do this every night if you want.
I'm gonna go with Patrick Cantley. I'm gonna go with Patrick Cantley. Yep, that's gonna be my guy.
All right. If I had to pick a winner right now based on what I saw today, based on what I saw today, I'm going to pull a shocker out. Well, you know what? I'm not. I think Dustin Johnson's going to win this thing.
Okay.
I think he took a few shots, and he still ended up with, 4 birds, 1 bogey. He's 3 under. He's tied for 11th. I don't know. I don't want the chalk to win. I like him a lot, but I would love to see a Scheffler pull this thing out. And but I think chalk's going to win this thing.
Okay.
And
I do have a question for you.
Yep.
And for really all the guests, where are we at with Ricky Fowler? Where are we at with Ricky Fowler? What's the future Ricky Fowler? What's the status of his game? Where the hell is Ricky Fowler gone? And can anybody find Ricky Fowler?
You know what? Ricky Fowler, now obviously I'm not as close to the game as you are. I love the game and I watch golf and I keep up with it. I absorb as much as I can. I have been of the belief that Ricky Fowler's always been a little overrated. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. But I just don't think he belongs in that upper echelon where everybody was so quick to put him. Okay, he's sitting there at 2 under. He just bogeyed 13, and so he's got 3 birdies on the day, 1 bogey. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure where he is. I put a tweet up a couple of weeks ago thinking he kind of reminds me of kind of what Spieth is going through, except for he never had the success Spieth had, and so he won the Players Championship, right?
He did. He birdied 17 5 times.
Right, but no majors.
No.
And so I'm thinking right now that he's got to figure something out, and I'm not sure what it is. What are your thoughts on Ricky?
Well, it's interesting because recently until last week he didn't go. He went back to his gamer putter, but for one of the guys that's been, I would say, in my opinion, as a top 5 putting stroke on all of tour. His putting's gone to hell. I think he's in the 140th range in strokes gained putting. I know he's going through different swing changes. He changed swing coaches. It's just at this point, it's kind of a dark time with him. Again, talk about a guy that really doesn't know where the ball is going with the driver. To me, it's the putting. I mean, he's just lost his putting completely. He has no confidence.
That was considered the best part of his game.
Well, I literally, with that Scotty Cameron Newport 2.0, that stroke was money. And I don't know why the hell he changed it. It's just, he's just, all parts of his game are not there right now. Yeah. And the other thing to his point is he's not hitting the ball close enough to the pin. And so he's kind of all over the place. I hope he comes out of it, but right now I'm uncertain. And
Well, I just
his
think
world
golf's
golf
better when
ranking's
he's
terrible.
contending. I
I
think
do
golf's
too.
better when he's contending, and just like golf is better when Spieth is contending. These last couple of weeks, it's amazing what Spieth has done to recharge a little bit, even with some of the big names like Dustin not playing, Bryson not playing. Jordan's been out there drawing TV audiences.
To your point, I mean, AT&T Pebble Beach had the highest rating I read of a normal golf tournament in over like 6 or 7 years. So Jordan still, the needle still goes with him, and I will. And the thing I think people love about him, which is what I love about him, it's just he's just a roller coaster the entire day. It's nothing's easy, nothing's smooth. It's like, my God, the guy goes to the office and busts his rear end daily, and it's not pretty, but man, is it fun to watch.
You know what? It's just like a car crash. Everybody likes to
It
see a
is,
car
and
crash.
he's hurts me every week. I got my daughter cheering for him, and she's set up for failure at this point as well. But we're gonna ride Speed till the end, man.
Yeah, I get you. I'm with you. One guy I'm a little disappointed in right now. He's still got 5 holes to go, but Carlos Ortiz, our model really liked Carlos. We had him top
Yeah,
10, number 10. He's sitting there at 2 over right now. Little disappointing. He's got a few holes to go, including that sixth par three, which I really like. But he's bogeyed. He just bogeyed 3 holes in a row. And I think his issue is he parred number one, and then he bogeys. That's like losing not 3 but 4 strokes. When you par the easiest hole on the tour and then have 3 bogeys in a row, yeah, your game is going south. He needs to turn it around really fast with hole number 5 here.
yeah. I mean, the thing is like you said, this is a guy. However, in my opinion, he doesn't have a ton of course experience at Riv. This is a course. I think the more you know it, the more you know where to miss on these green complexes. Because I think these guys on a weekly basis are green light, go for flags, let's go, soft conditions. Riv's different. You can't do that. You have to plot yourself around the golf course. And I think that you'll see some of the thinkers and guys like that really come through. Um, but it's hard because you like the way Ortiz has been playing. But then again, this course, when I look back at my betting, which is what you do on Thursday nights, you're like, why the hell wouldn't I think of this? That's something I think of, at least. It's a little different.
Yep, yep. What do you think the cut's going to be? The cut line.
Or I mean, it's not. It's going to be over par, I think. I would say
You think it's going to be over par?
no. It's going to be. Damn, it might be. It's going to be right about even, if not one over, depending on the weather conditions tomorrow. I mean, right now we got tied for 52nd at even. So I really do think it could be at one over or even.
All right. So Bryson and Thomas are sitting there both at 5 over. They both got a birdie here, and let's just say they.
Bryson's got it back to 4, actually, since I refreshed here. There you
Okay.
go, dude. You feeling good now?
Well, if he makes the cut, what's the old? If you're telling me there's a chance,
Exactly.
um, uh, yeah. If both of those guys can somehow get another birdie and both get it 4 in, and come out in the morning, and let's just say they both get it to even or maybe 1 under, and by having rounds that they can really legitimately have.
Oh, easily.
I like their chances of making the cut and then at least scoring some points for me in some of my lineups.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't expect the lead to be much more than 8, maybe 9 at the end of the day tomorrow.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, I don't expect, again, if I'm honest with you, if Bryson could shoot 6 under tomorrow, get it back to 2 under par, and the lead's at 9, I mean, that's still in somewhat striking distance. Again, nobody's getting away in this golf tournament right now. This is good jam-packed leaderboard, and it's going to be interesting to. I mean, you have 52 guys at even or better.
Yeah, yeah. It's really going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. I understand that the wind actually may be kicking up a little bit on Saturday. What do you?
They had a little bit of it earlier this morning. It was cold. I actually think the guys that teed off this morning kind of had the heart of the worst of the draw. Hey, speed, let's go. But yeah, it was a little windy. It was a little chilly this morning. I'm not. I think tomorrow's supposed to be slightly warmer. But yeah, the wind again. The wind with these firm greens is going to cause problems, especially come the weekend when they get. And I'm sure they will syringe them because they don't want this to become silly. But they're going to get baked out a little bit. They're going to be crusty. And if the wind blows, it's going to be fun. And again, this isn't a course these guys are going to go out and go crazy low and blow us all away.
Right. No, I agree, and that's why I'm so anxious to see what happens. One last guy to talk about, and we're going to go to some other things. Max Homa. Do you follow Max on Twitter?
I do.
Isn't he great?
Max is fantastic. I would love nobody more to have success than Max. And since he's come back for this 2021 start, he's been really dang good. I mean, he has. He's been consistent, and he was playing well. I think last time I saw him, he was at what 4-3. So yeah, I think he's ready to win too. I mean, of course he has a win, but this he's at
He,
4 under through 17 from what
yeah,
I
he's a
see.
4, and so he's sitting there tied for 5th. Let me ask you this: as a former golf pro, uh, by the way, Cantley, he's sitting there at 4. If you could pick a foursome, you and 3 current touring pros, and you wanted to go out and play around with, who are those 3 players
Harry Higgs
and
would be
why?
number one. Harry
No,
Higgs would
wait,
be
what?
Harry Higgs is number one. Harry Higgs is a legend. He's
Are you
just a
serious? He's gonna
fun
be
dude.
one of your.
Absolutely.
He's gonna be in your group.
Yep, you'd be my top 4. Of course, Tiger Woods. Although, can I include Tiger because he's not technically on playing right now?
You can include anybody you want, man. This is you. This is you, man.
Yep, I would play with Tiger, Harry Higgs, and
Think about it. It's Jordan.
no, it would be Kevin Kisner would be my third.
You know why I like Kevin Kistner? Because he keeps it real.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys look like they'd be okay to have some. Well, maybe we'd have some cocktails, we'd have some fun, and it's hard to keep Tiger on anything, in my opinion, because that's kind of like was my golf guy when I was growing up outside of my pops.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty. And you would want to play Tiger just because.
Just because, I mean, growing up, Tigers was every. I mean, my dad
Yeah.
introduced me to the game, of course. Tiger, everything. I just he's golf. I mean, to be honest with you, think of golf would never be where it is without a guy like Tiger Woods. Look at the purses these guys are playing for. I mean, in the major championships, it's paying 1.92 million for first and 1.2 million for second. Tiger changed that. Tiger's my favorite. It'd be Tiger, Kiz, and my guy Harry Higgs. Do you have an answer for this? I'd love to hear yours.
Well, I'm just going to go back to some of the guys that I really, really, really respected and watched. And it's not about the actual round. It's around watching these guys and being with these guys and picking their brains a little bit. And my ultimate foursome, just because I'm old school, someone called me the dad of golf. Um, I would, first of all, Jack Nicklaus would be in my foursome. And because it's Jack Nicklaus. Uh, and
Sure.
and to me, he's still. I mean, him and Tiger Woods are the 2 pioneers of the game. Jack took it to one level. Tiger took it to the next level, and but both were so dominant during their time, their eras, that it was not even almost. It was almost like it wasn't even fair. And so Phil, like for example, we're going to talk about him in a minute. Phil Mickelson, and how he's had to be in Tiger's shadow. If Tiger wasn't playing, imagine what Phil could have done. And so, but to my point, Fred Couples. I've always been a Freddie, a boom boom guy, and so we're looking at Jack, Freddie, And if I had to go one more, probably just for fun and entertainment, because I would put JD in there. I would put John Daly in that group
Yeah.
because there's going to be a lot of fun things happening on the course with John
Yeah.
playing.
No
From
doubt
the
about it.
loudmouth pants to there's going to be cold beers
There's always
and
and
and,
tons of
and there'll be
cigs,
cigars, and
cigarettes.
so
Yep,
so
you'll be ready to
and,
go.
and the best part is on that foursome is watching Jack watch John Daly play.
Hey, you think Jack wants to spend 4.5 hours with John Daly? I'm not. I'm not quite certain.
Hey, let's get one thing out of the way. That round's going to be 6.5 hours with me on it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh my God!
Those are good picks. I mean, Fred Couples is Mr. Smooth himself, right?
Is there? I think he's got one of the prettiest swings I ever saw. Just like Adam Scott, I think Adam Scott has one of the prettiest swings I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean,
But
textbook wise, Adam Scott is Fred Couples' swing is just so
yeah,
smooth
it's like he's not even
and
trying.
but Adam Scott, textbook wise, has the golf swing that like a robot would give you. It's just that good. It's just the dude doesn't know how to putt, so he's got to come out with a damn broomstick. It's a disaster. If Adam Scott could putt, he'd have 8 major.
Oh my God! Yeah, think about that. And I'll be honest with you, I hate watching this
Yeah.
chest putt.
I could argue it's still anchoring, but we won't get there today. We won't go there today.
Oh, it is. It's still anchoring. It 100%. All right, let's talk about Phil Mickelson. We talked about Tiger Woods and what he did, and Phil Mickelson, as good as he is, think about what Phil could have done had Tiger not been there. How many majors would he have won? Um, I personally, I'm of the belief that he's ready for the Champions Tour, and because I don't even find him being competitive. And I know that you disagree a little bit, and
I
you
do.
know what? We can go back and look at the match. We could actually on the next show we could actually do a debate and roll out the numbers and talk all those things. But let's just quickly talk about Mickelson and what you're seeing from him.
Yeah, I mean it's he can't hit it on the golf course. I mean, you can't play from the Waffle House down in the corner. You have to be able to put it somewhere into play. And it's really been an issue. Now, I think to me personally, Phil has the game still to compete. I think he's gone off this slope of distance, 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 hitting bombs, whatever the hell he's saying. He's really gone into that. I think some parts of his games have kind of regressed because of it. I do think he still has the game to win. I think, of course, if he goes and plays the Champions Tour, he's going to succeed. But look in Saudi, I think he had a top 25, top 30 over in Saudi. I think the game is somewhat there. It just is Phil willing to kind of hone it back. I just think he's gotten so obsessed with distance, and he's kind of lost like what really made him. I mean, his
I
swing's
mean,
already past parallel. He's, the guys everywhere. The golf needs Phil to be around. I mean, I know he won at Pebble. What was that last year? 2 years ago. Um, but yeah, it hasn't been there. But I think it's fixable to the extent that he has the distance. Even if he hones things back, his ball speed keeps him up there. There are certain golf courses that I believe Phil Mickelson can still compete at. One is played in Georgia in April. I think that he'll be able to compete, just like I think Tiger Woods will be able to compete at Augusta for many more years to come. Because Augusta, look at to your point, Fred Couples, right? Fred Couples, he's on the leaderboard at Augusta every year.
yeah,
It's
at
some
least until
guys.
Sunday, Saturday.
Yeah, yeah, but some guys know how to play Augusta National. Bernhard Longer knows how to play Augusta National. So I do think there's courses he can compete at. I do think he has to kind of hone in what he's doing because he's got to keep the ball on planet Earth to try to make par.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of Augusta and Tiger, I was blessed and fortunate 2 years ago to be in Augusta on the course when Tiger won.
I didn't know that,
Oh yeah, I was
by the
there.
way.
I was
That's the
there.
greatest sportest moment of my lifetime.
Yep, it was an amazing moment. Just and I still I've been there 2 times now, and when you walk in the gates, it's like the hair rises on your arms because you just feel it, and so it was just really special. Real quick, Al Falcon Day said Furix is better than Scott's. Come on, man, give me a
No,
break.
I think he's throwing some shit. That can't be a real thing.
Furix got a little bit of that Matt Wolf and Barkley thing in him, don't he?
Yeah, he sure does. Man, Furyk,
But he sure can play.
yeah, exactly. They always say when, at least with teaching golf, and it's always been my philosophy, people come with me with all these different kind of swings, and you got to understand what people like. So some people are weekend warriors. They just want to go play a little bit better on the weekend. So those people, you're not overhauling their golf swing, right? You're giving them tweaks so they can have more fun and play a little bit better. But then there's the people that you want to do the overhaul with. But Jim Furyk, the one thing they always say when teaching golf, it's all about impact. So as long as the club is square on the back of the ball at impact, I don't give a damn what it looks like back here.
Right, and I agree, and we weren't being silly on that, but yeah, we were talking about pure swing. Now, as far as ball striking, he's been amazing.
No,
but I'm just talking about the beauty of a swing.
Yeah,
and so. We're not.
Jim Furyk's swing looks like a deformed child swing, like where Adam Scott's swing is perfect. Maybe not a deformed child, but maybe if Adam Scott had tons of things wrong with him, he couldn't take the club back straight, that would be Jim Furyk's swing.
Right. I'm with you on that one. Hey, real quick, while we're talking golf, and a big rule change just came out. Rangefinders. Just real quickly, let's talk about what are your thoughts on rangefinders? And I'm seeing mixed signals from the pros on tour, and you know who's being more vocal about it than anybody? The caddies. The caddies are the ones that are the most vocal about it, man. And being a former pro yourself and a teaching pro and being so close to the game, what are your thoughts on rangefinders? Now, obviously, I have a rangefinder in my bag, but for the competitive level, what are your thoughts there?
I think it's a waste of time for the simple fact that here's my point on it. I actually think that the rangefinder could argue would take more time, right? Because caddy's calculations give you to the front, to the pin, to the back, right? You got 142 to carry this bunker. You got 163 to the back. Rangefinder, basically all the pros are going to be using a rangefinder for is to confirm what the caddy's saying.
Right.
There's a reason the caddies have a job. Rangefinders are great for guys like me and you when we're playing courses that have a 150, a 200, and a 100. Like there's no one. We need that distance that what we have to the green, but these caddies have it so dialed in. I think it's absurd. I also think that I'm interested to see when the first tournament comes about where slope is called into a question because these rangefinders have a slope feature that must be turned off. But if you've had one with the slope feature, it's easily to accidentally turn on. So then what happens when the slope feature is turned on? Exactly.
How's anybody going to know?
And so for me, I think the beauty of golf is the caddy player relationship. And I just think it doesn't do anything because caddies are still that valuable based off that front number, that pen number, that back number. You know what I mean? I almost think that it adds to the time being taken to play the game.
Do you use a rangefinder?
Mm-hmm. I do. Absolutely. But I don't have a caddy. You know what I mean? The caddy is your rangefinder.
So here's the thing. I have a rangefinder. I bought a good one. And the funny thing is I'm not good enough to where it makes a damn difference. It's not like I'm saying, all right, I'm going to try to hit this thing 80 yards. I'm just trying to hit it on the damn green.
Right.
And so, but you know what? It looks good hanging from my bag and all that kind of stuff.
Well, for me, and very well, based off that statement, they can run you $350 easily for a rangefinder. I find mine is extremely helpful when I'm out playing. When I'm playing with my pops or my buddies, they can. The one that makes it great is when we hit it into the shit, into the fescue, and you're way off the hole and you're taking an angle to the flag that nobody's supposed to be taking. That's when you can get that exact number.
Right.
When you're in the fairway, it's pretty easy to figure out how far you are. When you're in the trees, down off Route 8, it's a little hard to get a number.
Hey, FYI, Justin Thomas is now 7.
Oh,
and
the rails.
And Bryson is 4. And so there's a little bit of hope there. Bryson's right back up there with Harry Higgs.
Yeah, there we go. See? Hey, I'm glad that I faded. I'm glad I faded Justin Thomas this week.
Yeah, you did. As a matter of fact, on the show last night, you faded him, or on Tuesday night, and that was a strong fade. Rory's still at two. Rory's still at two over, and so these are some final updates here. Um, yeah, I'm still not worried about Rory too much, but anyway, on the rangefinder situation,
Cat,
yeah, cat and Somerville's right. You know, caddies over rangefinders. I agree with
absolutely.
that. I just think it's going to take. I think it is going to take longer. I think it's going to. But I don't think it's a big damn deal. But I do find that
I
most
don't
of the
either.
pros are. Most of the pros are like we don't need a rangefinder,
Right. Yeah,
and
and I
so
mean, and of course, to your point, caddies are saying, "Hey, what the hell is this?" Because
yeah,
to an extent, that's kind of infringing on their employment, right? Like, we kind of want to keep a
yeah. But
job,
we
but
all know that those golfers aren't going to carry their damn bags.
exactly,
But
exactly.
you know, but in all Falcon Days said, of course, I bet the a lot of caddies don't use them, and I bet you're right.
Yep.
Once again, if there's a questionable or a judgment one because of slope, I think slope is the biggest thing right there that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that makes a big difference. But anyway, well, hey, do you have any kind of a final golf shot takes or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking a tip here, something good to work to work with in the winter for your average golfer, right? So what's the most important thing in golf today? Speed, distance, things like that, right? So just a drill you can do in your basement and your house when it's the middle of a frigid winter is real simple. You're going to take the club across your shoulders like so, and all you're going to do is sit here and work on getting this, put a ball down on the ground, and you just want to work on getting the butt of the club behind that ball. And all this is working on is getting your body to turn.
Your core.
Now, yeah, exactly. Now, most your amateur golfers, your higher handicap golfers tend to hit a slice. So one of the things with the slice is there's not a lot of body movement. It tends to be a straight back over the top move. Getting your body turned and your weight onto your back foot is going to help with that. Because the one thing with the golf swing that I always say is once you get the club to the top of the swing, it's all your hips that are bringing everything down. So your turn is very important. So I would just do 25, 30 drills of just putting a ball on the ground where you would want it in your stance and just turning that club to get behind the ball. That's getting the weight on the back foot. That's going to help with your distance.
Are you just so you're doing it, you know, continuously? Is that just to try to get that repetition?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's also to get the feeling on that right foot if you're right-handed or that right leg. You want to feel that lock pressure on the back leg because that's you getting loaded. And the way that you're gonna get distance is really getting the weight back here and then really getting it back through. So just getting that turn to get behind the ball is going to help a lot, especially again with the slicers because the slicers are all arms, right? It's all
That's
arms.
me.
The golf swing is built off your core to get it to the top and your hips to get the club through.
So what's cool about this is that's a drill you can actually do at home in your living room while you're
Exactly.
watching the tournament, and all you're trying to do is just continue to work on that core, making sure that you're turning far enough to where you're actually addressing the ball.
Exactly. Yep. And one of the other things that I could say with again, because most people deal with the slice, right? Amateur golfers deal with the slice. A lot of the other problem is when you're dealing with a slice, amateurs bring the club straight back inside like a baseball bat, right? So we got the
Right.
club here. What's the problem with that? Is it gets you stuck. You can't release the club. So one of the other things that I would work on at home is doing drills of taking the club back and holding it on the take back line as straight and as long as you can. Because the importance is getting the club more upright and more steep to give yourself the opportunity to get the ball back down and clear your body. What they call it the death move. The minute you turn and get that like a baseball bat, you're done, you're dead. You can hit a good golf shot occasionally, but as soon as you get here, you're dead. If you get up here, you have the ability to come back inside. And so that's the biggest thing with with the over-the-top guys, because what happens is they bring it inside, and there's only one way to go, over the top. You got to go over the top. That causes the side spin. That causes the sides. If you get the ball, or get the club, rather, more on an outside plane, a little bit more upright, you have the ability to drop the club back on plane.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Is this something we can expect from you every week? Maybe a couple
absolutely.
of golf tips.
Absolutely.
You know, we'll talk pro golf. We'll talk tournaments. We'll talk DFS. We'll talk gambling. But why not give these guys a little bit of a few tips for their game themselves? And so I think that's great.
Yeah, that's what. And again, that's what I love to do. That's what I did for multiple years. If we can help out anybody, if anybody has any questions, you know, feel free to send them in. I'd love to. If somebody wanted to put something up here, I'd be willing to touch on anything at any time, whether it's putting. I got a putting green right here in front of me. We can set something up. We're in good shape. So I'm here to help anybody, to give any tips, anything like that. We're going to have a good time.
You know what we need to do? We need to organize a Hammercast Network golf tournament.
I'm in for that.
And find a great location somewhere and have everybody show up, have a good time, and partake in some golf and partake in some gambling, some poker. Turn it into a fun event. What do you think about that?
That'd be a great time. Hey, listen, I would never turn anything like that down. It's as you know, as I do, the beauty of golf is the camaraderie and the good times that you have with friends and out on the golf course. There's nothing better than it. The golf community itself is a great community. There's nothing better than bullshit and having a couple cocktails with your buddy while playing golf. Whether you're shooting 110 or you're shooting 62, it's always a good thing to do. It eases the mind, and I just love the game so much.
Yep, I agree. And one of the first listener and audience participation invites is going to have to be All Falcon Day, right? He's going to be the first guy.
He brings the fire. I get it.
So I'm going to actually start thinking about something like this. Maybe this summer or this fall, what we could do is we could do a fall weekend deal where everybody shows up. We do a fantasy football draft. We play cards all night. We play a golf tournament the next day, and then have a good time. You know, something like that.
That sounds fantastic.
Well, I'll start noodling on something like that. That would be a lot of fun. I'll do the barbecue.
All right. That sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, this hour has gone by really fast. I've really enjoyed the hell out of it. It's our first show.
Yeah,
so I'm liking it, man. What are you thinking?
I'm loving it. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to next Thursday. Again, I'm just excited to talk golf, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, so and reminder, Sunday evening, we're going to get on here live, even if it's only for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and talk about what we saw, recap the tournament, and preview the Puerto Rico Open for next week. And I'm already doing some grinding on that. And thank you, Kim. We really appreciate that. Like I said, it's our first show. We plan on doing a whole lot more. We will have the Guru on next week, and he's going to come on and actually give you guys some optimal lineups for the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday type showdowns, and some more tips for the weekend betting scene in the DFS scene. And so we're looking forward to bringing that element. He had a little bit of a leak problem tonight, so he wasn't able to come on. He's got a leak in his basement from a water pipe, and so he's dealing with that. But All Falcon Day, Kim, all the others that have been watching Somerville, we really appreciate you guys tuning in for our first show. We hope to do many, many more, and if you guys are willing to listen, we're willing to talk about it. So thank you guys so much. Any final words, Drew?
Nope. Patrick Cantley's my guy. Everybody have a good weekend.
All right,
Let's watch some golf.
We'll see you guys on Sunday night. Peace out, everyone. Thank you very much.
Did you get all that? If not, make sure you head over to hammercast.com, subscribe, and join the Hammer Nation. Until next time, keep grinding.